All right, let's talk about a place of incredible contrasts, Bihar. I mean, you have this region that was once literally the heart of mighty empires, a global beacon of knowledge. And then you look at it today, and it's facing some of the toughest challenges in all of India. It's a real paradox. So let's get right into it.
And that really is the big question here, isn't it? How on earth did a cradle of civilization, a place that shaped so much of history, become a symbol of struggle? To even begin to understand what's happening now, we've got to go back, way back.
And wow, what a past it is. I mean, we really have to wrap our heads around the sheer scale of its history before we can even touch on today's challenges. We're talking about a time when this land wasn't just some part of India. It was a global powerhouse, the center of the universe for intellect, spirituality, and government.
Okay, just look at this timeline for a second. The scale of influence here is just mind-blowing. You've got the Mauryan Empire, right? Home to absolute geniuses like Chanakya and Chandragupta Maurya. This region was the birthplace for not one, but two major world religions, Buddhism and Jainism. And get this, it had not one, but two world-famous universities, Nalanda and Vikramshila. Scholars flocked here from all over the globe. It was, and this is no exaggeration, the Silicon Valley of the ancient world.
So you see the then and the now, and it's just this incredible dramatic pivot. To go from a global center of learning, empire, and culture to a place that today is so often defined by its struggles. That whiplash, that contrast, that's really the core of Bihar's modern story.
So let's talk about that reality. Let's really dig into the stark contrast of today and look at the tough facts on the ground in the 21st century. First off, let's just talk about the sheer number of people. We're talking about more than 120 million. That makes Bihar India's third most populous state. Just try to imagine that for a second. That kind of population density puts an absolutely immense pressure on everything. On jobs, on housing, on every single basic service.
And that pressure isn't just a statistic, right? It has very real, very human consequences. For millions of people, the reality is that there just aren't enough opportunities at home. So this cycle of migrating to other states for work, it's not a choice. It's become a matter of survival.
And this chart right here, it really puts the economic challenge into perspective. You can see it clear as day. Bihar's per capita income is one of the lowest in the country, way below the national average. And again, this isn't just a number on a graph. It represents a huge gap in opportunity, and frankly, in the quality of life for millions.
So the big question is why? Why does this massive gap exist? Well, to figure that out, we've got to untangle this web of issues that have been holding the state back for so long.
See, it's not just one thing. It's more like a tangled knot. You've got poverty and unemployment, poor infrastructure, political instability. They're all connected. Each problem makes the others worse, creating this cycle that is just incredibly difficult to break.
Okay, let's zoom in on one of those threads, education. Now, things have gotten better for sure, but the overall literacy rate is still lagging behind the rest of India. But here's what's really crucial. Look at the numbers for female literacy. That gap is way bigger, and that's a massive barrier because we know that empowering and educating women is absolutely key to lifting up any society.
And then there's the politics. This has been a huge hurdle. Think about it. Over the last 20-something years, the government has changed hands so many times. It's been this constant shuffle of leadership and alliances. And what happens when you have that kind of instability? It becomes almost impossible to create and stick to a long-term plan. Projects get started and then they stall. Priorities change overnight. All that crucial momentum just gets lost.
This chart here tells a really important part of the economic story. You can see the economy is just overwhelmingly dependent on agriculture. Now, don't get me wrong, the land is super fertile, which is great. But when you put all your eggs in one basket like that, it means the economy just isn't creating enough different kinds of jobs for its huge population. There's just not enough industry.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about the challenges, but this story is definitely not all doom and gloom. Not at all. There is a path forward, a well-researched one. So let's shift gears and talk about solutions. What does a real blueprint for Bihar's comeback actually look like?
All right, here it is. It's basically a 5-point game plan. First, you've got to create jobs, right? You do that by helping small businesses and startups get off the ground. Second, a massive push on infrastructure is non-negotiable. We're talking better roads, electricity you can count on, and managing those devastating floods. Third, you have to transform education to focus on real-world vocational skills and digital literacy. Fourth,
Pour investment into healthcare, from the smallest local clinics to the big medical colleges. And finally, the foundation for all of it, you need stable government that can stick to a plan for the long haul.
And that's really the key word here, isn't it? Revitalization. This isn't about building something from nothing. It's about breathing new life, new energy into a place that has this incredible, unparalleled legacy. It's about giving Bihar the chance to reclaim its rightful place.
So we'll leave you with this to think about. You've got this glorious, rich past on one side, and on the other, a clear blueprint for what the future could be. The potential is just massive. It's undeniable. But is that one missing piece, that stable, consistent governance, the final and maybe the toughest piece of the puzzle? Is that what it's all going to come down to? Something to think about. Thanks for joining me on this one.